They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up. They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up. They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Patriotism. There's a word thrown around a lot. It inspires passionate debate and is worn like a badge of honor, and with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. Love. For a word designed to unite, it can also be pretty divisive. You see, there's more to patriotism than flag sequin onesies and rodeos and quadruple cheeseburgers. Patriotism is love for a country, not just pride in it. But what really makes up this country of ours? What is it we love? It's more than just a huge rock full of animals like cougars and eagles, right? It's the people. Do me a favor. Close your eyes for a second. I want to try something out. Picture the average U.S. citizen. Think about it. How old are they? What's their hair like? How much can they bench? You got one? Okay. So chances are, the person you're picturing right now looks a little different to the real average American. There are 319 million U.S. citizens. 51% are female. So first off, the average American is a woman. Cool, huh? Is that what you pictured? 54 million are Latino, 40 million senior citizens, 27 million are disabled, 18 million are Asian. That's more people in the U.S. than play football and baseball combined. 9 million are lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, more than the entire amount of people that live in the state of Virginia. Around 10 million are redhead, 5.1 million play ultimate frisbee, and 3.5 million are Muslim. Triple the number of people currently serving in the United States military. Almost half the country belongs to minority groups. People who are lesbian, African American, and bi, and transgender, and Native American, and proud of it. We know that labels don't devalue us, they help define us, keeping us dialed into our cultures and our beliefs and who we are as Americans. After all, what's more American than freedom to celebrate the things that make us, us? I mean, it's stitched into the stars and stripes of this country, from the Constitution to Gettysburg, to our motto, E pluribus unum, from many, one. It's even in our country's name, the United States. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and any other labels. Because the second any of us judge people based on those labels, we're not really being patriotic, are we? So let's try this one more time. Close your eyes. Picture the average Joe or Joan or Juan or Jean-Luc. The real people who make America, America. And this year, whenever you feel the urge to don those star-spangled shorts, set off fireworks the size of my biceps to show love for our country, remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Candid Conversation Show with Coach Stacy, where we have real people, real topics, and real stories. For him to be taking away that fast, there are going to be a lot of people that would miss out on the blessing that his purpose was to provide for them. So we have to make sure that while we're here, we're doing what we need to do to walk in our purpose. You agree with that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. 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 But ladies and gentlemen, today I have Mr. Sean Sinclair. I know, I'm silly. Hi, Mr. Sean Sinclair.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you this morning?
I'm doing excellent.
Thank you for joining us on the show today, and I'm going to introduce him to you guys in just a moment. But before we get going good, of course, I want to give my Saturday morning shout-outs. You got anybody you want to shout out? I want to shout out everybody, the whole world, the B5, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, no. Everybody, just give everybody a shout out. Pat yourself on the back and say, I am great.
Absolutely. I want to shout out 108 Praise Radio. I want to shout out Coach Stacy.
That's what's up.
And I want to shout out everybody who's been following me and supporting me through this time. And shout out to Atlanta.
Okay. Shout out Atlanta. I'm so silly. Don't pay me no mind.
Shout out to A-Town, right?
Yeah, A-Town. Hot Atlanta. They got so many names for these places, you never know. Yeah. Indeed. You're so soft-spoken.
Of course.
You always like this?
Yeah, I'm real soft-spoken.
I can't do nothing to get you nothing, huh?
I'm hyped, though, seriously.
I know. Every time I have an encounter with you, you look at me in amazement like, does she get tired?
I like that energy, though. You know what I mean? That energy is transferable to me. I'm real laid back.
Yeah, you are.
So I like the energy. Even though it might not seem like it, I'm still absorbing it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's infectious.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. And that's my introduction this morning. Hello. I want to say thank you for tuning in to the Candid Conversation Show with Coach Stacy this morning. And let's just get this thing crack-a-lacking. I'm going to tell you who Mr. Sinclair is, what he does, and how he is impacting lives in his community. And we'll just go from there. I'm looking forward to seeing all about you, okay? So I'm real quick. I'm going to just read your bio. And you got a lot of books out there. Mr. Sean Sinclair is the author of Blood Ties, Street Rap, Skin Deep, Forbidden, the series novel Sex Mogul, and the forthcoming King Reese, scheduled for release in July of 2019 by Kensington Publishing Corporation. And Mr. Sinclair is the creator of Gangsterotica.
That's it. You got it. One word.
Gangsterotica. I have never heard of that.
I've coined that phrase.
Please tell me what I know what erotica is,
Right.
but please tell me what gangsterotica is.
So gangsterotica is a term that I came up with on my own. I consider it a subgenre of books. Like within the book world, of course, you have genres like fiction, urban, erotica, and so on and so forth. So with me, I like to write about crime fiction, and I like to write about erotica. So I figure that those are my favorite two genres, right? Those are my favorite two genres to read and write. So I came up with my own thing because I noticed a lot of people who read erotica didn't pretty much like crime fiction, and vice versa.
So you merged the two
Right,
together.
I merged the two.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice. That's dominant too because it's different.
Right, and it's trademarked too. Like that word didn't exist before me, and anytime you Google it, whatever, I'll come up.
That's nice.
That.
So it's kind of like urban fiction too, as well.
It is.
Like that
it
street
has
urban
elements.
fiction, like Donald Goins.
It is. That's my guy. Yeah,
Donald Goins. Yes. He was an amazing author.
The
who was
book
taken away
Blood Ties
soon
is like
too.
Daddy Cool.
Okay, awesome. So you're the creator of Gangsterotica, and you're a native of Atlantic Beach, South Carolina. You often incorporate your own life experiences into storytelling, so that means you were a gangster.
It sounds so cliche, right? I was in the streets.
You was in the streets. You weren't no gangster, but you was in the street.
I wasn't in a gang, no.
No, just because you wasn't in the gang.
That's where the term comes from, though.
I know, but
I was definitely in the streets.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Having been heavily involved in the independent music scene from the ages of 14 to 21, touring internationally and opening for some of the biggest names in hip-hop, while simultaneously being entrenched in street culture. You are an Army veteran. I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay, and you've also worked as a law clerk for nearly a decade. He uses his experience as a law clerk to make his crime stories pop with authenticity. I can see that.
Okay, good.
Because I'm into crime a little bit too myself.
Right.
Yeah, I am.
It's the American story. That's the American story. See?
It is. Mr. Sinclair is the founder and owner of Pen to Pen Publishing, an author services company that assists aspiring authors in bringing their manuscripts to print. Pen to Pen Publishing is home of the 90-day Publishers Package, where authors' manuscripts are brought to market in 90 days or less. And your company motto is putting power into the pen. I know that's right. Power in the pen. There is power in the pen. It's also your mission statement, and as you rediscovered your gift of penmanship while incarcerated. Really? Oh, we really gonna talk today. I'm learning. I didn't know this about you.
Yeah. That's what we do this for, so we can learn.
Oh, wow. This is amazing. He strives to use his success as motivation for others to triumph over adversity and regularly mentors youth about the importance of making the right decision. He also gives back to his community through the Sinclair Literacy Scholarship, a scholarship fund that awards worthy high school seniors for literacy achievement. And he is also the editor-in-chief of Respected Roots magazine, which I got a copy, my first copy, yes. A magazine for men to progress the culture, and he's also a contributor to the legendary urban lifestyle magazine Don Diva. And he's the father of 2 wonderful sons and lives right here in ATL.
George.
Whew, Lord have mercy. I had the hardest time with biographies.
Man, that was a lie. Good God.
Yeah, biographies, of course it's, you're saying who you are, but a lot of people done a lot of things.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And some things you don't even realize you've done until you start thinking about it.
That's right.
And like you just, said that your story, someone else may be waiting to hear your story, so you have to put certain things in there.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do. Amazing. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm ready to jump right in because I learned a few things about you that I did not know.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about those things. But first, how did you become, how many books do you have again?
12.
12 books. You're an author of 12 books. That's amazing. How did you start writing?
I started writing years ago. As the thing said, that music is my first love.
Get up a little closer.
Music is my first love. So I started writing rhymes when I was like 14. And if you fast forward, and it's just an extension. If you could write music, if you could write music, you can write a book.
Song. Yeah,
Right, it's the same thing. So years ago, I was doing music. Like I said, 7 years. I was that guy on my way. You know what I mean?
So it wasn't a big epiphany. You know, that was just something that was in you. You know, sometimes we had that big epiphany. Like I said at 5, I wanted to write a book, and I didn't make it till 40. But
right. Well, I thought about it years ago, but that wasn't something that was conceivable for us.
Right.
You know, I've always read books. I've always had a love affair with words. Even dating back to middle school, I used to skip class in middle school to go to the library and read books.
The library?
To the library. I was a bookworm. Look, our guidance counselor, Miss Edge, you know, I went to school in Myrtle Beach area, so my school was predominantly white.
I just want to know how you go from the library to the streets. That is so funny to me.
So if you know about Atlantic Beach, right? It's in the Myrtle Beach area. Atlantic Beach is only 2 historically black towns in the South. The other one being Roseville, Florida. So we had our own communities, black everything, black city councilman, black mayor, black businesses. My grandmother owned business, my aunt owned business as well. So we already had the independent flair. But when crack came in to black communities, late 80s, early 90s, of course it hit there as well.
Right.
You know, we went from being entrepreneurs in our community to being, you know, drug dealers.
Okay.
Users.
All right. Well, dang.
Yeah.
So crack had an impact on your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, I always say that, like I have a documentary out called Behind the Pen, and in that documentary I say I've lived 3 lifetimes because I've always been acclimated to like reading and stuff. My daddy was my hero. My daddy was always on me, like being smart, you know, so I've always loved to read. And as I mentioned before, when I was in middle school, I used to read all the books, the Stephen King books, the Benicular series, things like that, but there was nothing for us. So my cousin Terry went away to prison, you know, around the same time when the crack hit. And that's when I got introduced to Donald Goines first.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, we have
That's
these type
very
of books.
interesting.
It is. And so, of course, I was a bookworm, so I was reading voraciously. When I read his catalog, I was like, wow. And then my stepfather, my mother remarried, and my stepfather wrote a book. And that's what really inspired me to start writing a book. When I was like 15, 16, I started writing my first book when I was 15 or 16. Because my stepfather had a book called Black Gangster.
Okay.
And it was in the same.
Did he publish it?
He didn't publish it. That's the thing. That's what compelled me to keep going. But he had a book, and I thought it real interesting that a real street dude, because my stepfather was, you know, street dude through and through. But he was very smart. He wrote a book. So that kind of compelled me later on years in life to say, you know what, if he can do it, I can do it too.
Right.
And that's what started it.
Amazing. Wow. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. I already done jumped into why you were author. Just tell me a little bit, because I know you do so much. I know who you are now. I know who you are today, but I don't know your walk before then. And I know, like you said, it's all a story.
Indeed, yeah.
You know, who you are is a story. You're who you are because of what you've gone through to get there.
Right.
And the incarceration and in the streets to being someone now who gives scholarships to youth, who assists. We're going to talk about helping youth write their own books, you know, things like that. But just tell me, who is Sean Sinclair?
Man, Sean Sinclair's a lot of different people rolled into one, but more importantly, I guess my most important thing is I'm a father and I'm a man trying to get it right in this society. You know, I've had a second chance. Like I said, I've done things the wrong way for so long, and even back then, I remember praying to God, like, just give me a chance. Even when I was in my worst state, I was like, look, and I made a pact with God back then. You know, I was, you know, in the streets you get street stuff, so I was facing a lot of time. Right. And I remember in particular, I asked God, I said, look, just save me from this. And if you save me, I'll help these youth. I'll show them that this is not the way. You know, and back when I was rhyming, I even had a rhyme about that. It was one of my songs. But yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
for real?
Yeah, so I really made a pact. I prayed, and I said, look, just get me through this, and I'll show people a better way. Because I knew there was something in me back then. I just didn't know how to bring it out.
Bring it out,
because I was still sucked into my environment.
Let me ask you this. Do you mind sharing why you were incarcerated?
I won't go into much detail, but I will tell you that, no, because, you know, I hear these guys.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's fine, but I hear all these guys talk about, you know, how, oh, I did this, I did that. But that's not something to brag about because you're affecting people's lives.
That's right. That's right.
So out of respect for the people's lives I affected, I won't go into detail. But I will tell you that it was just some street stuff. You know what I mean? I've done everything it is to do in the streets besides rob and snitch. So when I got
Whatever
caught
it
up
takes.
yeah.
Whatever it takes.
So when I got caught up in that, that's what it was.
And it's just like you said, get caught up in it.
Yeah, I did. I had numerous warnings, and I didn't take heed to them. You know what I'm saying? And I got caught up. That's what it is. You know, I mean, what I went to prison for, I'm very remorseful for it. Like without a shadow of a doubt, if I could change it, I would. But that's part of my story.
That is right.
So,
That is
like
right.
I
Because
said,
you
I
have
want-
to touch someone else who's gone through what you've gone through,
Indeed.
so that they have hope
Right.
that they can make it happen.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow, you just took me for a loop there. I ain't never had somebody say, "No, I can't share it."
Well, again, it's not. I'm not ashamed of it because of my story, but it's out of respect. I've affected people's lives.
Right, right. It's just that I didn't
Right, so I
know
don't
what to
wanna,
say
yeah.
from there.
No, it's out of respect.
I didn't know what to say from that. Okay, well, that's amazing though. So, do you do any like prison ministries or anything like that?
Well, yeah, I in fact, one of my clients, well, actually I have a few clients that are in prison, and that's my way of giving back to them as well. But I also go back to speak to the prisons as well. I'm trying to set something up in the South Carolina prisons because that's where I did my time at. So I'm trying to go back in there. It's just so many restrictions as far as when you have to been out a certain amount of time and things of that nature. And I meet them, so it's just a matter of me finding the time to go back into it.
That's amazing. See, that's part of the give back, and that's
Have
what
to.
that's
It's
what I was.
imperative.
Yeah, it is. And that's what I was. So you kind of helped a few pen their books and
Right.
become authors while they're incarcerated.
Yeah, I had one client. He sold like 1,000 books in 1 month. Literally,
Really?
yeah. And for an independent author first time, most don't sell 200 books their first year.
Right, right.
He sold 1,000 books his first month.
Wow.
From behind, he's still
From
incarcerated
behind
right now. Yeah,
bars.
from behind bars.
Uh-huh.
And so to see him, he was street guy. I mean, of course he's in prison.
Right,
So
right.
to see him taking a book as a new viable means of income, that's what it's all about when I say putting power into the pen. That's a double entendre, by the way, because I found my power in my pen while being in the pen, meaning penitentiary.
Wow.
So it's a double entendre, putting power into the pen, because had I not gone to prison, I wouldn't have rediscovered my pen.
Okay.
So it's a double entendre, and it also helped others inside the situation find their power with
Power
their pen
their
as well.
pen. 12-time author. That's amazing, good stuff. So, and real quick before I move on to the writing, so you were in the Army?
I was.
Really?
Yeah, I was. I did 3.5 years.
Oh, you just did 3 years. Okay.
What you mean? I was deployed. I got combat.
Oh, you was deployed? Okay,
I
okay.
got combat
Well,
time.
I'm a lifer, so I'm just saying,
No,
3
I
years.
love the Army, though. I would have. I loved it. You know what I mean? Like,
I did too.
yeah,
I did too.
I had loved the Army. In fact, I was in the Army when I got incarcerated. So that's what kept my military career.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. But still at the same time, it was something that needed to happen to wake you up, right?
It did, absolutely. And even with the military, like it's funny because I was a combat veteran, so I had a combat MOS as well. So the things in the streets that society looked down upon us on, when you go into the military, those are things you get accolades for.
Right.
Like discipline, having heart, having fortitude, not letting things bother you,
Right.
things like that. Those
Yeah.
are the things that allowed me to excel in the military.
Yeah.
I was scheduled to pay my E5 on in 2.5 years.
Wow. Well, yeah. Okay, that's another
You get it in.
topic. Yeah, I'm putting
No
no
doubt.
real work. No, I'm just playing.
Right.
Y'all put it. Yeah, I'm
I'm messing
teasing.
with you.
I'm
You must have done
teasing.
logistics.
Yes, I was logistics.
Well, I appreciate you for getting our pay straight.
I was supply logistics.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, somebody.
I ain't do nothing with your pay,
Somebody
but I
gotta
made sure
supply
you
us.
had everything that you need,
So we can go do the real work.
so you can go do the real work.
Got it.
That's
Appreciate
right. That's right.
I appreciate your service.
And I appreciate yours. So moving on. So now I want to really talk about the authorship, and I just kind of wanted to set the stage on where you've come from and why the impact that you have is so important. And now you've written 12 books, and you have a publishing company that helps others publish their books as well. And where did the publishing part come from?
Well, when I was doing music, we had our own record label. So if you know about music, publishing is publishing. So we had our own record label. So when I was incarcerated, I was still thinking about doing the music. But I didn't want to be the 30-year-old rapper, you know what I mean? I mean, to each his own, but I didn't want to be that guy. So what I actually did was...
That's really funny to me because
we saying.
We got a lot of...
Yeah, ironically, though, the ones who are winning now are well over their 30s, but I didn't want to
Right,
be that guy,
right.
So I came from a different era.
Yeah.
But what I did was I put it inside my... instead of me... I kind of gave up the dream of rapping, so I put it inside my book, which is my first book that just got published last year called Street Rap. So when I was inside, I wrote the book. I sent it out to a very notable publisher. So this publisher pretty much jacked my book. You know what I mean? They'll remain anonymous, but they jacked my book. So
wow, really?
Yeah, and they made like 10 mil off of it. And that's what made me take my craft serious. So then I started saying, you know what? I'm not going to send it back out there anymore. So I started studying the publishing industry. So right before I came home, I got another book deal. Well, the first one wasn't a book deal. Let me rephrase that. I got a book deal from another notable publisher. And I had already been studying myself, so of course we all have a master plan. Me, I hate to use the term cliche, but I'm a boss. I'm not gonna allow nobody to eat off me if I can help it. Now I'll make strategic partnerships, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna allow someone else to be in control of my financial destiny.
Okay.
So I started studying the business more and more and more. And what my goal was, I was like, look, I'm gonna go ahead and put this book out with them and get the money up and start my own company. So as luck would have it, that deal fell through because the economy crashed. So I already had the know-how, I already had the materials. I came home with 10 books written already. So I already had the books ready, and I already had the know-how, so I just put it in practice.
Went from there.
I basically started a company to get my own, as a vehicle to put my own books out. But the more I started learning about the business through trial and error, I learned that there were so many other authors who needed the services that I already knew.
Right.
Like what's easy to me is hard for others.
For others, yeah.
Right.
That's so true.
Right.
True.
And then I thought about my experience where I got railroaded for my manuscript. So I figured that I'll become an author advocate because I know what it's like. I've been on all sides. I've been incarcerated trying to get my books published. I've been free to get my books published. And I've been on all sides of it. I've sold 30,000 paperbacks independently. So with that kind of experience, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me help others.
That's right.
And that's how I came with Pen to Pen Publishing.
Pen to Pen Publishing. And with that, you help quite a few. Of course, you know, I have a couple published through you as well.
Absolutely.
But I'm amazed at this 8-year-old. Tell us about this 8-year-old who just published with you.
Oh, man. So little Shaylee, she's out of Fayetteville. So Atlanta.
Fayetteville, North Carolina?
Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm from Atlanta Beach, but Fayetteville, North Carolina is my second home. I graduated high school there. So my city always showed me love. So they came to me with this young, in fact, I have another author named Honesty. And Honesty is like she's like her aunt. So she got inspired by seeing Honesty write her book. And so the whole while, she was writing a book. I'm like, first she was writing this out. Like she wrote, I didn't write this. She was writing
8 years old.
8 years old.
And it's entitled, I'm the Real Trendsetter. I keep it 100. What is she keeping 100 at 8 years old? Lord have mercy.
So initially I didn't take it serious. I'm like, wait a minute. So her mother was like, look, you need to check this book out. Like she's really got something here.
Let me check this book out.
So I'm reading the book. I'm like, wait a minute. And so with everything that's going on in society right now, I feel like it's very important because who's talking to our youth?
That's right.
You know what I mean? So here is a young lady who's got inspired to write her own book. That in itself is a story because a lot of our young women.
That's a trendsetter itself.
Exactly.
8.
That's a trendsetter in itself. So as I started reading the book, I see that it has real life lessons. You know what I mean? This little young girl, she's getting it together. She's paying homage to her family. She's most importantly paying homage to God. You know, everything in it's a God-centered book. So for an 8-year-old to be talking about God in the way that she's talking about it, I felt that that's more relatable. I felt that it's relatable, number one. Marketable. I'm a businessman, so I did feel it's marketable. So more importantly, I think that she can be an inspiration for other young ladies. So I feel like if you can't feed people, then you can't lead people. So here it is. We can say all day, look, you need to do this, you need to do that. As far as because I have a 6-year-old.
I'm trying not to read this, but this is amazing.
Yeah.
She wrote this all by herself, 8 years old.
8 years old. And another thing, because like I have a 6-year-old, my son just turned 6 last month. So when we do bedtime stories, I'm like, I don't have anything to read to him that looks like him. So here's this little 8-year-old little black girl, and she's got her own book out. So
And she's talking about confidence.
yeah, she's talking, and the things that she was talking about in it, I'm like, wow, this is
leadership,
confidence,
style.
bullying, being yourself. These are all relevant topics to children today. You know what I mean? So I can say it all day, but she's with them, so she can relate more to them.
Wow.
So it just made good sense.
That is really amazing. I wish I had her here too.
Or she'll be here in July. She's going to be at
Really?
Atlanta Kickback.
Okay. Maybe I can bring her on. 8 years old. I wonder what that feels like.
We have to set that up. Maybe we could bring her a few days early so she can come in.
Yeah, 8. That's amazing. So tell them about her book real quick and where they can pick it up.
Okay, so I'm the real trendsetter. I keep it 100. Young lady, her name is Shay Lee. And it's not too big. You know, it's like 45 pages, but it's got a lot of good information in here. She has a quiz on teaching young ladies if they're trendsetters or not, and if not, then how they do to be so. She has things in here about her faith in God, because this young lady, she lost her father when she was 2. And so there's a story in here where she talks about that, where her mother speaks about, you know, that God is with you, that He's always with God, and as long as you have God, you won't lose Him.
Right.
She just lost her uncle recently. So all these types of lessons, things that all of our youth go through, she addressed it in here. And she showed us ways to get through it. You know what I mean? And as a parent, it helps me because it helps me able to relate to my child from their point of view.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, the impact,
Absolutely.
the purpose. And here it is. We got grown folk can't find that purpose, but we got an 8-year-old who has tapped in.
And you can get this book at pen2penpublishing.com. Just go to the nonfiction page, and it'll be available on Amazon and Kindle later this week.
Amazing. Well, send my love to Miss Shay Lee.
I sure will.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
And this is what Pen to
Alrighty.
Pen is about. When we say putting power back into the pen or putting power into the pen, this is a young 8-year-old. She's making history right now. You know what I mean? So that's powerful. That's impactful. And that's what we like to do.
Amazing. What's your number 1 book you wrote?
Skin Deep.
Skin Deep. Tell us about Skin Deep.
So Skin Deep is one of
Why would I want to buy Skin Deep?
Skin Deep is one of my gangster erotica tales. So I believe in putting medicine inside the candy, right? So our people, my whole goal for us reading, I want to get more men to read. So with the gangster erotica campaign, what I strive to do, you know, men, believe it or not, we follow women. So if our woman says,
This is
look,
true.
If our woman says, look, I need you to
I'm
read
glad
this
you
book.
pointed that out.
Yeah, we do. We follow. Every man does whatever we do for a woman in this society.
Oh, let me write that relationship question down for my next relationship show.
So I figured if I want to get more men to read, because readers become leaders. So if I want to get more men to read, I wanted to have something that's palatable for a man and a woman to read together. So with my Gangster Erotica series, I envision, you know, a woman saying, hey, look, baby, check this out. And then a man looking at that because, you know, I'm a man's man. So when I write it, I'm writing from a man's point of view. I'm not one of these guys who's writing, trying to write the story that women want to hear men saying. That's not me. Now, both of my Gangster Erotica tales, you have a female's perspective and a male's perspective. So you get the whole crux. So the reason why Skin Deep is my favorite book, because it's the first nonfiction book that the first fiction book I've ever written. All of my other books I drew from my life experience and so on and so forth. But with Skin Deep, this
It was a total fiction.
total fiction. Now I mentioned some places I've been, like Germany and stuff like that, to give it appeal. But I did a research. So it's about these two brothers named Menelik and Haley. They're twins, but they're born in Ethiopia. And their father was part of the party that overthrew Haile Selassie. So this is all of our history. And the reason why I chose Ethiopia is because Ethiopia is one of the only African countries that has never been colonized by a foreign power. And that in itself is strong with everything that we're dealing with here in America. Ethiopia has a lot of history that can help us get out of our way. So I chose.
Okay, and that's nuggets.
Right. So when I did Skin Deep, like the first part of the book takes place in Ethiopia. So I had to do a lot of research. I had to do a lot of questions. I had to do lots of research because Ethiopia's history is inextricably entwined with the Bible. Because someone from King David in the Bible, someone from his lineage has sat on the throne of Ethiopia from his time to now, with the exception of one period. So I learned these things studying throughout the book. So they go from Ethiopia, then they go to Trenton, New Jersey, where I used to live. Then they come down south. Like I incorporate a lot of the places that I've been, but the reason why that's my favorite book is because that's the book where I really found my pen as being an author.
Right.
Everything else was just telling my story, but with that book, I really got my bag. You know what I mean? I really felt that I had my own voice, my own style.
Right.
And it's a lot of food in there. You know what I mean? It's a lot of knowledge in there about our history. It's a lot of knowledge about relationships. It's a lot of knowledge about the streets. Because here it is, you see these brothers who have a despotic father. He was a tyrant, and they picked up on that. Of course, he was killed, so they were adopted by white people, and they came to America as adopted. And you see these brothers go from being these African young kings to getting sucked into the streets of America. So that's their story. So the female, her name is Makita. She's a supermodel,
Right.
which comes with the word skin deep. So Makita is a supermodel. She came up from a decent home in Trenton, New Jersey. Her father was a diplomat. She's Ethiopian as well, but she's a first generation American.
Okay.
So these two get together, so you get to see how
And it's skin deep.
right it's skin deep. So because you think it's one person, right? All of my titles double or at least double entendres, sometimes triple entendres. So they say beauty is only skin deep.
Right.
She's a model in the modeling industry, so skin deep beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of gave us a good breakdown of it.
I don't want to give you too much.
I was
want you
going
to
to
read
say,
it.
I almost don't need to buy it.
Oh, you gotta buy it. Yeah.
I got to buy
You
it.
gotta buy it. It's a trilogy. The book 3 comes out later this year.
Oh, so you've got 2 already on it.
Already 2, Skin Deep 1 and Skin Deep 2.
Nice. So that's why that's your favorite,
Absolutely.
because it talks about the Ethiopian history and things like that. Amazing. I need to research on that.
It gives us food.
I'm curious though. You made a comment that if we researched Ethiopia's history, we could learn things that would get us out of the situation that we're having in America. Kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, a part of our problem in America is that as black people, we don't have our proper knowledge of self. We don't know who we are.
Right.
And because we don't know where we came from. So if you don't know where you came from, you can't possibly know where you're going.
Right.
So also we think that we have to gotta be careful here. Let me say that. We think that we have to not separate per se, but we always feel like we can't give up what was given to us and still be successful. Whereas Ethiopia, they resist colonial powers for a long time. Every other country in Africa has been colonized or conquered besides Ethiopia. And it's because they know who they are. They have their rich history. A couple years ago when, what's the young lady name who married the guy in Britain? The black lady that was remember she married the prince.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay.
Meghan.
Meghan, that's her. And everyone was saying, oh yeah, she's the first black queen and first black princess. That's not true.
No, it's not.
Yeah, Ethiopia still has royalty.
Right.
So things like that we need to know. We need to get out. We need to start thinking outside of America to get out of the situations that we're in.
Well, I don't know if they can do this. Even like a show like this that's very informational. Like you're putting out some great information that can help take you to the next step forward.
Right.
People won't tune in to stuff like this. Now, if
I
I
know.
was gossiping and I was, had some craziness going on and all of that, that's number one. So to me, it's like, where is our mindset?
That's why I said I put the medicine inside the candy. So it's skin deep. It's in there. It's a gangster erotica tale. So you got the money, you got the sex, you got the violence, you got the culture. But you also have the history.
Right.
Because there's a part in the book where Menelik, the main character, he tells Makita, the female, he was like, you don't know where you came from. Because she's a supermodel. She's, lavish in that life. So he's like, look, you don't know where you came from. This isn't you.
Right.
This is not where our people came from.
Right. And
So-
it's not.
Right.
It's not.
So, it's the medicine inside the candy. So you're still going to get up. And it's like this. Life meets you at your own level. So as you're reading that book, if you're not here, all you're going to see is the sex and violence.
Right.
But if you are here.
depending on where the level of your mind
Yeah,
is
you
what
look at it
you
and
will
say, oh,
see.
wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to do it.
Awesome. Amazing. So that's your favorite. Which one is your best, the first bestseller?
Forbidden.
Forbidding.
Still selling like crazy right now.
What's Forbidden about?
So Forbidden, it's a forbidden love story. It's about 2 people meet while on vacation in Anguilla. They decide to have a fling that's supposed to remain on the island, but later it's discovered they live in the same city back in the States.
I mean, you writing some real stuff.
Yeah.
Like- Well, I'm
messing with you.
I'm nonfiction.
I
I'm a
got you.
self-help author, but when you talking, then you put me in the mind of, you done research, you know the areas. Like, I don't have to do all that for my self-help. I have
Right.
my type of research, but
You know what's crazy though? Because when I read, I'm a history buff. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So most of my stuff I read is nonfiction. But what that does is when I write my fiction books, it carry over.
it carries
So when
over.
people read my books, they say, "Man, that book's really deep."
Yeah, it
That's
is
why-
deep.
It's like reading a nonfiction book.
Yeah.
Just the story is fiction. That's it.
And when I read fiction books, I love reading books that I kind of feel like I'm there.
Right. It's real descriptive.
Yeah, so that's why I said, dang, you just like, you write some real stuff. 'cause
Everybody
it
says
makes
it's real descriptive too.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
says it should be a movie.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not even that. I mean, I do that now. I when I read, even with TV, I know I'm a little, shout out a little bit, but when watching TV, I feel like I'm actually in the
Right.
movie. I'm actually in the show, or even with my video games, I feel like I'm in the video games.
Love my video games. I'm a low.
Yeah, I am definitely addicted.
I can't help
I have to be honest.
Really?
And it, and I don't understand. I don't even know how I produce as much as I produce.
Really?
Because I am absolutely addicted. That if anybody wanted to know, now you know what my crutch is.
Look,
I am
so started-
absolutely addicted to video games.
I have to discipline myself.
Yes.
Because I'm always going so hard and I'm always serious.
Yes.
So I allow myself one day, I haven't done that lately, but I used to allow myself one day to just guiltlessly
Let
play
me
the
tell you
games.
something. You said allow yourself.
Yeah, I have to. It's discipline.
And I have said that before.
Man.
And guess what? It one day turned into 2 days.
I'm going to tell you the key. My brother-in-law told me this. He said, look, whatever you're doing, make sure you do it before you turn that game on.
I know, right?
Cut the game
Come
on,
on, it's over.
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you're like this.
Yeah, still trying to get it.
Yeah.
Oh, and they got smart. You see, me and a friend of mine were talking yesterday. That he was like, they used to make games, and then after you play for so long, you get bored, so you get off of it. It is not like that
They
no
suck you
more.
in. You
It's
go
suck.
online.
Yes.
Yeah, they download.
It's all kind of stuff to do. So I know what you mean. So I like feeling like I'm in it. So your books are real descriptive, and that's
Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So with all of the things that you're doing, and I know you talked about prison and going into the prison and of course reaching back. What are some of the other things that you're doing in the community?
I'm real passionate about our youth. I feel like if someone would have stopped me when I was maybe 10 or 12, not early, 10 or 12, my life would have been different. Initially when I started, so when I was in North Carolina, I was working with an organization called Soaring as Eagles, and that was like, I love to teach. I had like 5,000 credit hours of teaching, accredited by Richmond District 1, so I love to teach. But when I thought I wanted to teach the high school kids. But by the time they get to high school, they're already done.
Right, right.
I mean, I hate to say it like that,
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's true. That's true.
So I like speaking with the 10 to 12-year-olds.
The middle.
Pivotal age. That's where it's at. So when I was working with Soaring as Eagles, that's what I used to do with the middle school, elementary and middle school students. That's what I used to like. So right now, I'm kind of back into Atlanta now, I'm striving to find an organization now that I can do more with. But as for right now, with Respect the Roots magazine, we have the Brotherhood Initiative.
Okay.
And they go. We all going to schools right now in Atlanta public schools right now to speak with the brother Jason Hawkins and Jared Patterson.
Okay.
They're already doing that right now.
Okay.
Respect the Roots Brotherhood Initiative. So
Okay.
if you follow Respect the Roots and want to be involved in that, you can see it as well.
Okay. And again, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
What is it that you can give back to the community, to the community, to the community? Whew, amazing. This is good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Anything you want to share with the audience?
Just to
Before I,
continue.
before I give my drill of questions, I got a
ahead.
couple more questions. No, my end drill.
Okay, go ahead.
Anything you want to share?
Just to
Talk
continue
about-
to support, us in what we're doing here at Pen to Pen Publishing. I just partnered with someone, and she's an amazing author in her own right. So we're gonna do everything more. You know what I mean? Because with Pen to Pen, it's just so much to do. We didn't have enough people, and we're also looking for interns too. So if you know anyone or if you yourself want to get involved in the literary industry or the publishing industry, we're looking for interns that can really help us out. It could be a symbiotic relationship where we can help you and you can also help us. So you can contact me at info@penandpenpublishing.com, or you could contact me on social media. I am Sean Sinclair. We're desperately looking for interns right now.
Or good way to put that out.
I appreciate it.
I'm just-
Yes.
I told you I can't get you to move a name. You're just like, okay. You're so laid back, so laid back. So, and based on your past is why I'm asking this question. But what is the best advice you've ever received, and who was it from?
Best advice. That's a lot, but I'll have to say my mother. My mother said, if you do something right the first time, you don't have to worry about doing it again. And that sounds simple, but it can apply to so many times, so many things in life. You know, that was my mother always telling me, look, if you don't do this, that's going to happen. If you don't do that, that's going to happen. And I wouldn't listen.
It wasn't that hard headed.
So look, I had to go all the way full circle just to do it right now. You know what I mean? So yes, I think that might be one of the most pivotal ones. I told you I read a lot, so it's 1,000 of them, but that might be the most pivotal one.
Yeah. So I got one more question. What's your favorite story of overcoming adversity, or a hard situation?
My personal or someone else's?
Just what's your favorite story?
I don't know. I like to root for the underdog. Of course, mine is remarkable, and I'm not just saying it's because it's me. I'm just living it. But when I go back and document it, it's like, wow. But
been there, done that one. Been there, done that one.
Again, I would have to say my mom, because my mother, you know, and I wrote this in the foreword this morning for the book, but women are so strong. And they go through so much that as men, we don't realize it because we're always focused on our own stuff. But my mother had a remarkable story. You know, my mother buried my father, excuse me, my daddy, when I was 8. Like, that was her everything. You know what I mean? We were a family. And to have him just taken away, my daddy was assassinated. Someone killed him. Someone murdered him. And so for my mother to have to deal with that while still maintaining 4 kids, you know, and she went through her struggles and trials and tribulations. And a lot of people don't come out on the other side of those.
This is true.
So she did that. You know, she came out on the other side of that, only to go through trauma as well with her husband, my stepfather, going to prison, and her son being in prison at the same time. Then we lost my brother from cancer at 34 years old.
Ooh, young.
Right after she had heart surgery from a heart attack. And she's still
just
here
one
adversity after another. And she's still here with a smile on her face, one of the most positive people you'll meet right now to this day. Just to see all the things that she's gone through. I mean, we've been, I like to say, hood rich a few times. So to go from being hood rich to having nothing, you know what I'm saying? To all having it all over again.
Right.
To just being able to be content and peaceful to the woman that she is today. That's remarkable.
Right.
So yeah, I would have to say her story is most important.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing with that. And I ask those questions so that people can kind of see men can be just as impactful as women.
Indeed. Absolutely.
And that's my thing right now. And every corner you turn, there's a women's empowerment something somewhere. So it's to me, I feel like that we need to celebrate the brothers too. You know,
agree. And even with Respect the Roots, you know, the magazine for men to progress the culture. So when the brothers came to me with that idea, you know, of course it was in the infancy stages. And so the founders of Respect the Roots, Jason and Jared, that was something near and dear to me because they were like, look, we need a voice for men. And that's something I was passionate about as well. That's why I joined on with that project. And like the results have been impactful. You know, we do need these support circles or everything. Women's empowerment this, women's circle that, fraternities this, fraternities that. Where's the brotherhood? Because women are the ones out here killing each other in the streets. You know, look at the young brother Nipsey. He got killed by the very person he was supposed to help. So if we have these healing centers for men where we can, you know, have man training and things of that nature, because like I'm born in the 70s. So when I see these young brothers nowadays, I'm like, yo, this ain't what it's supposed to be about. But what are they, you know, what good do they know?
Right.
If their father's not in the home, how would they know that?
Right.
You know, if no one's pulling them in, if we're just talking at them instead of talking to them, how are they going to know?
That's good.
So yeah, I'm very passionate about men supporting men.
Oh, amazing. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on the show today, sharing a little piece of who you are, and I look forward to more to come from Mr. Sean Sinclair.
Appreciate you for
having me. And Pen to Pen Publishing.
Thank you so much.
That up-and-coming publishing company here in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Well, all over, really.
Yeah, we're all over. We're based in Atlanta, but we got.
Yeah, I know. I've called you several times, and you be just almost out the country sometime. I'm like,
Yeah, I gotta get it in. You gotta move, spread the word, spread the mission.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. So today, as I close, I want to share with you a little bit about handling criticism. No matter what we do in life, at some point in time, we all face a level of criticism. But it is possible to learn how to cope with criticism and not let it affect your life. We can be grateful for the example the Apostle Paul set for us. Paul experienced criticism often, but he said that he was not concerned about the judgment of other people. He knew he was in God's hands and that in the end he would stand before God and give an account of himself and his life. He would not stand before any man to be judged. And you can find that in 1 Corinthians 4:3-4. You may not always do everything right, but God sees your heart. If you're attempting to live for God and looking for ways to love others, God is pleased. Don't worry about the criticism of others. God loves you. His love and approval are all you need. I just ask that you thank God that you don't have to listen to the criticism of others, that he sees your heart and that he knows your motives. And you tell him thank you for his approval. His approval is greater than the approval of any person out there. So I just want to leave you with that word. Don't be worrying about the criticism of other people. Everybody got an opinion.
Absolutely. And no one is perfect.
And nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect.
That's right.
So guess what, y'all? Guess what?
What?
It's so hard to say goodbye. I sure wish I could sing. I promise I wish I could sing. It would, baby, Beyonce would not stand a chance if I could sing. Yes, but it's so hard. Listen, if you're looking to be a certified coach, enrollment for ICU Coaching Academy has just reopened. You can email me at info@icucoachingacademy.com. And I also don't forget to get your copy of What It Takes to Win by what?
Bestseller, by the way.
Bestseller. Yours truly. But anyway, so you've been listening and watching Candid Conversation with Coach Stacy right here on 108 Praise, where we have real people, real topics, and real stories. And I just asked it and say thank you for tuning in. I wanted to sing again just then. Yeah, Could you tell? Could you tell? No, I can't even carry a tune, man. I can't. I wish I could. But thank you for tuning in. We strive to entertain, educate, and elevate your thinking. And I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining. Love you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do.
Did you have a good day at school?
She gave them some broth without any bread.
There you go.
And kissed them all soundly.
Night night.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
In 4 days.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment.
He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching.
That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, now, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Good.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Oh boy.
We just found it. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Dad!
Whoa!
You made time.
That was perfect. Okay, here we go, throw it!
Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me.
Nice.
But I heard every word.